Thank you, everyone. Hello, my name is Darren. I'm one of the marketing coordinators with BCIT School of Health Sciences, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Health Sciences Information Session for the Environmental Public Health Program. Feel free to put any questions or comments into the chat during the presentation, and we can answer questions later at the end of the presentation in the questions and answers segment. And before we get going, I want to mention that we acknowledge that BCIT campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including the territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh. And today's agenda is we'll do welcome introductions. We're going to do a poll, but we just found out that Teams requires everyone has to download an app to do polls. So that didn't work out in earlier sessions. So we're going to skip the poll today. We'll go through the presentation and program overviews. We'll get some program advising information, and then we'll do questions and answers at the very end. And now I would like to introduce Dale Chen, who's the program head for the Environmental Public Health Program. Take it away, Dale.
Thank you very much, Darren. I hope everyone can hear me clearly. So what is environmental public health? Environmental public health is public health protection. It's the health inspectors. It's basically everything to do with health that isn't human to human. So what I mean by that is if you catch a cold, it's because somebody else sneezed on you or something similar. So that's human to human transmission. That's usually the realm of public health nurses. If you get sick with something like cancer, that is your body not doing well by itself. That's often something that you would go to see your physician for, so to speak. Environmental health is things such as the water that you drink, the food that you eat, the air that you breathe, the things that you touch, the products that you buy, the services such as haircuts and tattoos and things that you get that affect your body. All of those things fall under the really broad general category of environmental public health. And as environmental public health officers or health inspectors in most jurisdictions in Canada, you are the one who is overseeing those types of issues within the community. So it seems like a very broad topic because it absolutely is. And oftentimes you might be the only public health person in a given community, depending on where you work. So I personally feel that it is a very important part of the public health and the healthcare system within the country. And it's often something that most people don't even necessarily think about very much. The most common place that you might encounter health inspectors is just at all the restaurants that you eat. Right on Burnaby campus, health inspectors go and inspect on a regular basis. Every little diner and restaurant that you may go to will be inspected by health inspectors. And those are often graduates of our program, especially here in BC. So what we are as environmental public health, the Environmental Public Health Program is a 2-year full-time bachelor's program. So you do require 2 years of post-secondary before we accept you, and I will go over that when we get to the entrance requirements. But we are a 2-year full-time bachelor's of environmental public health, and we are an in-person program located at the Burnaby campus. Pretty small class sizes. We accept a maximum of 26 every year, and it's a combination of lectures, field trips, and a research project. So we absolutely deliver solid theory-based knowledge, but we also give you all the practical knowledge that you need. All of our instructors, including myself, are former health inspectors here in BC. And as part of the program, we arrange a 3-month practicum for you at one of the local health authorities. This practicum is required as part of the certification process through the Canadian Institute of Public Health Inspectors. We are one of the programs that allows you to become certified. So one of the requirements for certification as the health inspector in Canada is graduation from one of the approved programs. And in BC, we're the only program that is approved to graduate students to sit the certification exam. And then the practicum is the other aspect of the certification that is required before you can sit the certification exam. And it is absolutely pardon me, I have some background noise here. And in order to sit the practicum, in order to sit the certification exam, you are required to complete a practicum. I believe we're the only school in Canada that arranges the practicum for you. All other schools in Canada actually requires you to go and find your own, which is an additional challenge. And it's something that I feel is a great benefit of our program. So preferred qualities, as you can imagine, you are a person who is going out there and meeting lots of different people, encountering lots of different situations, sometimes challenging situations. And so qualities that would be a really big benefit of somebody that would do well is somebody who is mature, practical, and assertive. You do have to be able to stand up for yourself. You ultimately will need to be able to work very independently. Sometimes your closest colleague might be quite far away if you are working in a rural area. But nonetheless, you will have to also collaborate with many different other agencies. When I was in the field, you work with local governments, such as bylaw enforcement officers, permitting officers. You work with the Ministry of Environment regarding certain issues. You work with conservation officers regarding certain issues. Sometimes you may even need to require police assistance on certain issues. So you do need that ability to work with others as well, but having that ability to work independently is also very important. As one can imagine, in this type of position, you also need to have very strong interpersonal skills. You have to be able to communicate with all the various different types of people that are in our society, right? And having the ability to calm people down, to negotiate difficult situations is absolutely critical when it comes to doing a great job. And going with those interpersonal skills, strong communication skills would also go a long way. The transference of knowledge and being able to have someone understand you is the ultimate goal, one of the primary goals of the profession. And so if you are able to start off with very strong interpersonal skills, that is a very big leg up. That being said, we do try to teach you and to improve your skills a great deal while you're here at BCIT. But if you're able to start coming into the program with some of those qualities, that would go a long way as well. And then finally, good problem solving and decision making skills. So as you can imagine, sometimes you do encounter strange situations out there. And so you do sometimes need to think out of the box. You are working with laws and regulations, so you do need to take that into, and that ultimately needs to be taken into account, of course, and you need to safeguard public health. But sometimes you need to come up with innovative solutions in order to address those situations. So having those, being quick on your feet and be able to speak well and communicate, those are all great qualities that would serve you well in this field. So benefits of an environmental health career. So it is a very diverse and interesting job. You tend to do different things every day. So sometimes you might go inspect a restaurant. Sometimes you might go inspect a swimming pool. Sometimes you might go inspect a drinking water system. The next day, somebody might call you with a complaint, and then you need to go investigate, so on and so forth. There are many, many different duties. You will never be stuck in a very repetitive situation doing the same thing every day and becoming bored. That will probably never happen. It's always something new every day. And you also have a great deal of control over your own schedule. In most environmental health organizations. What happens is you're given a specific geographic area for you to be responsible for. So you manage that area on your own. You get to schedule your days. Some days you might want to do a little bit more. Sometimes you do a little bit less. Sometimes you want to go for one type of facility. Sometimes you want to switch it up. So you have a great deal of discretion and independence in how you do your work, which I think is of a huge benefit. Rarely will you have somebody sort of looking over your shoulder every day, kind of going, what are you doing today? What are you doing tomorrow? You do have that ability to make decisions for yourself. You do get to work with the public and meet lots of different types of people. So if you're someone who enjoys doing that, I think that will be absolutely a big benefit for you. And you are working for the betterment of the community. You're not working to stuff more money into the pockets of a billionaire or something like that, but you are working to protect the health of the public, to protect the health of all your friends and family within the community and people that you don't know as well. So ultimately, you're doing something good for the community and not necessarily, making money isn't necessarily the ultimate goal of what you're trying to do. That being said, most environmental public health careers are public sector, meaning you are working for some sort of government or government-related agency, like one of the health authorities. And so they often come with very strong benefit packages and pension packages and strong job security. So I don't want to say, oh, you're not going to do well or anything like that. You're doing just as well as any of the allied health careers out there. It's just that you're not in a hospital. You're out in the community compared to most of the other health careers that you could look at. You are applying your science background. So what I mean by that is sometimes, especially for people who have do an undergraduate degree of some sort in science, you kind of go, what am I learning this for? I'm never going to use this ever again. You might feel that way, but this career, in the environmental health career, that's absolutely not the case. You are applying many of those principles that you're learning back in the more basic science courses, chemistry, biology, microbiology, all of those things. Having a strong grasp of the basic sciences will help you understand the reasons why you do certain things, and will also help you explain to the community or to the members of the public why certain things are the way they are. And that also plays into a role of how successful you'll be in carrying out that education role. And then finally, I mentioned this before, you're not stuck on the office, you're out in the community, and you're invested with a lot of responsibility and ultimately power. You could sometimes make or break the success of a business. And so you can close places down if you deem them not to be safe in providing services to the public. So you're invested with a lot of responsibility, and some people like that. So I believe that's also a great benefit of the career as well. I briefly touched on this already, but most EHOs or environmental health officers are working for the federal government, provincial governments, local governments, or First Nations health agencies across Canada. There are more specialized positions as well. As you sort of climb, you get a little bit more seniority, you start specializing a little bit more, such as drinking water officers, communicable disease specialists, healthy building environment scientists, cannabis inspectors, etc. At the federal level, they also have other agencies that hire our graduates. You don't necessarily need certification, but there's agencies such as CFIA, or the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, the Public Health Agency of Canada, so on and so forth, and Health Canada. I would say the majority of graduates works at the provincial level, but there are certainly plenty of other graduates that work at other levels as well. There are private sector job opportunities as well, such as in quality control and improvement and quality assurance for food processors and major grocery chains and restaurant chains. So, for instance, Loblaws will have their own internal quality people and so on and so forth. So they do hire some graduates as well to carry out those roles. There are private consulting firms out there that also hire graduates. So what's happening there is you would go and audit restaurants or restaurant chains that wants that service. So for instance, a major chain like Starbucks will hire consulting firms to inspect their own restaurants to ensure that their stores are meeting their own internal standards above and beyond that of what public health generally looks at. And then finally, there are sort of health promotion and education positions available at most health agencies and private consulting firms as well. And sometimes you may be able to step into those roles once you have your foot in the door when it comes to public health units and public health agencies. So this is something that's currently happening. We don't know how long it's going to happen. It just started this past year, but in BC, the provincial government recognizes that this career is in demand and there's a shortage. So they are supporting environmental health, public health with a $2,000 per year bursary. Last year, they announced it after the start of the term. So all the students that were enrolled in the program basically just got $2,000. This year, I don't know how they plan on rolling that out, but maybe something similar, or maybe it'll be a tuition reduction, so on and so forth. We don't know any details yet. It hasn't been confirmed, but this is what happened last year, and we were told that it was likely going to continue this year because this is a program that the provincial government would like to promote. And we are the only environmental public health program in the province, so that it gets narrowed down to us here in BC anyway. And for students for Indigenous students, Health Canada has a really big additional bursary, which basically covers the entire tuition and then some living expenses as well, if I'm not mistaken. So if you have an Indigenous background, that's certainly a very big consideration as well. So this is just a testimonial from a recent graduate, Christian. He graduated last year and he is currently employed on Vancouver Island with the Island Health Authority as an environmental health officer. And this is just his testimonial saying positive things for the program. But I think the ultimate testimonial for him is he found a job. He was successful in getting certified, and he found a job and is now gainfully employed as an environmental health officer. So I don't think there needs to be any more said than that, because ultimately he is exactly where he wanted to be. So admissions, next slide, please. So our program starts in September, so the standard academic start year after Labor Day, and it ends around every academic year ends around the end of May. It's a little bit more nuanced than that for our program, but you don't need to worry about that for now. Just know that for the start in September, our application opens October 1st until it's filled. So for instance, for our September 2024 start, the application window actually opened on October 1st, 2023. And so if you want to apply for a September 2025 start, the application window will open October 1st, 2024. So in terms of the academic application steps, they've actually streamlined it quite a bit recently. And so it's basically reviewing the requirements and application dates, completing all the required forms, converting those documents to PDFs, and applying online. It's a relatively straight process these days when it comes to submitting your application. The key is to get all of your documents in order, which sometimes does take a little bit of time. If you have, well, one thing I should add is if you have an international credential, so meaning you attended post-secondary education somewhere else other than Canada, US, and I believe the UK and Australia, you will need your credential assessed by BCIT through ICES. That is a requirement that BCIT has. The main reason I mentioned that is I believe that is a very common background that people are often coming to the program from, having been foreign trained, and you do need that assessment process done on your past credential. It does take a little bit of time. There is a fee involved, unfortunately. So if this is something you're thinking about, just make sure to give yourself enough time to get that assessment done in time.
Sorry to interrupt, Dale. I'm just
Yes.
wondering if we should mention Education Planner BC or not? Is that a new thing?
I believe we cycle all of our applications through that platform now. But if somebody clicks on apply on our website, BCIT's website, it just takes them directly through that portal, and they don't need to worry about searching through Education Planner BC. It's my understanding. Yes. So our specific requirements is 3 credits of post-secondary English, as well as 60 post-secondary credits in total. So of those 60 post-secondary credits, we do require 18 credits at the second year level, so 200 level or higher, and then first year English, first year biology, first year chemistry, and then 6 additional credits of science. You might kind of ask, why are there so many requirements? It's because we are a 2-year degree program. Basically, you need to complete your first 2 years of the degree somewhere else before coming to our program. That's why all those requirements are in place. It's in lieu of the first 2 years of a 4-year degree. For the non-academic requirements, we do have a self-assessment form. Some part of the form is simply filling out all the credits that you have. The other part of the form is actually you going out to interview one of your local health inspectors and asking them questions. What's the career like? What do you like about the career? Is this something that you enjoy? What does the job actually entail? Coming not from myself or from somebody affiliated with the program, but from someone in the field. We find it to be very useful when applicants do that, because you know exactly what you're getting yourself into when you make that application. We almost have no withdrawals. What I mean is hardly any, I don't think I personally had anybody join the program and then a couple of weeks in kind of go, this program is not what I expected at all. I don't want to be here. Bye. I'm going somewhere else. That's never happened. And I think that's part of it because of this self-assessment, because you've undergone that effort to speak with somebody in the field, you know exactly what's happening, and therefore there are no surprises when you actually start the program. We do also ask for your CV and 1 year of full-time or accumulated part-time experience. The type of experience I'm looking at here is experience working with people. So it's either something like working in a professional environment or customer service or working in a restaurant or something like that. As I mentioned much earlier in the presentation, the ability to communicate and the ability to get along with others is critical in this position, in this field. And if you have some experience working with people, that's great. Sometimes people come in and they say, "Oh, well, I manned the phone lines at a call center," and I say that's great. You've been yelled at at the call center. You've spoken to all manners of people. You know how to speak to people in order to get them to comply. So I think that's kind of the customer service, same thing. That's the type of experience we're looking for when it's mentioning relevant work experience. I'm looking for experience working with others. And then finally, the driver's license. The reason you need it is for the practicum. On practicum, you will need to be able to drive yourself, so you will need access to a vehicle. In the city, so let's say Vancouver, Lower Mainland, Class 7 might be okay, but if you're working rurally, you really should have your Class 5 by then. So ultimately, if you don't have your driver's license or only have a Class 7, starting the program, I strongly encourage you to work towards your Class 5 by the end of the program so that you're able to drive yourself. Especially in some of the rural health authorities, they may have fleet vehicles, so meaning government work vehicles, and you won't be able to drive those without a Class 5 license. And then finally, admissions process. So when you apply online, it does go to the admissions department first. So we have admissions officers that screens all of the applications. And once your application package is complete, so I don't see those right away. Once the application packages are complete, and then the admissions officer deems you to have reached all of the minimum entrance requirements, then those applications come to me. I look at things like the experience and you speaking with the health inspector, so on and so forth. And sometimes I may have questions for you, but otherwise, that's where I get to review the application. So I don't see the ones before it gets to that level. I don't see ones where, oh, I don't know if this course gets a certain credit, so on and so forth, because all of those determinations are made by our admissions department directly. And then once I give the okay to the admissions department, they send you a congratulations letter. So hopefully, that happens for you guys. Laddering opportunities. So what that's referring to is, what do you do afterwards? So I would say environmental health officers, there are plenty of them that are happy in the career and they do the full 25, 35 years and they retire environmental health officer. That being said, there are opportunities to go up the ladder, meaning there are abilities to become specialists. There are abilities to become leads. There are abilities to step outside the field, such as going from environmental public health over to infection control, something more adjacent, more related to the hospital, etc., or into the private sector, etc. So I would say in the public sector, most people who do want to sort of take that next level in career these days do go on to do their masters. So there's various different masters people get to do, such as masters of public health, etc., masters of health administration, especially if they want to take on more of that leadership role compared to just being within the field. So those opportunities do exist. I would say it's not quite the same as a private sector where you may be able to grow very quickly, but if you do well and your abilities and skills are recognized, you absolutely do get rewarded. It doesn't, it's not something where there's no opportunity for advancement or anything like that. There is ability for advancement, and oftentimes, like I said, lots of people go to do that next step and take masters these days.
Well, thank you, Dale. That was quite a bit of excellent information. I'm just going to take over for a few slides. You can rest your voice, get a drink of water or something before the Q&A. And I will just give you some information that's not exactly program related, but still all very important. And so we'll just move away from the academics. And I'd like to let everyone know that BCIT is committed to supporting students in a holistic sense, which means we want you to succeed not only in your academics, but also outside of school. And some of the student services are available to you as a prospective student, and others will become available once you become an enrolled student. And here are some of the important student supports I'd like to mention. If you are Indigenous, BCIT's Indigenous Initiatives Department is there for you to ensure a smooth transition into your first year, and they offer peer-to-peer mentorship, a welcoming gathering place, and provide clarification on Indigenous funding. BCIT's awards, scholarships, and bursaries are listed on our financial aid and awards webpage, and I'd like to mention that we have a President's Entrance Award, and selection is based on academic achievement, and also volunteer and community service. So please contact financial aid directly for more information on that. BCIT is committed to providing assistance to students with permanent or temporary disabilities. And if you've been accepted to a program and believe you need accommodation to be successful, I encourage you to connect with our Accessibility Services Department. And BCIT's Student Health Services is a health clinic located on the Burnaby campus, and they provide medical care for current BCIT students all year round. And we also have a counseling and student development department, and they're available to help you enhance your educational performance and maximize your success as a student at BCIT, and all that is very confidential, so you can feel safe sharing. And of course, our recreation services that promote, encourage, and enable the practice of physical well-being, and we consider recreation an integral part of campus life, and welcome all students to enjoy their services. We would also love for you to get in touch with us on social. media. So Facebook, X, Twitter, and Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, or LinkedIn. And specifically for environmental public health, you can go to their Instagram channel, and BCIT, Enviro Public Health, is the tag. And if you'd like to learn more about BCIT as a whole, you can visit the bcit.ca website and get information on tours and spend a day if you want a student, big info and info sessions like this one, and of course, advising is a great resource. And speaking of advising, he would love for you to contact them if you have a question or unsure of something, and they can answer questions regarding entrance requirements, the application process, student resources, success strategies, and program schedules, and many other things. And they're available to assist you on specific days. And the best, I would recommend going to bcit.ca/advising to get the most up-to-date contact information and service hours. Now that brings us to our questions and answers. So I'd like to invite anyone to put any questions or comments they have into the chat, and then we'll see how well we can answer your questions. I think I see somebody typing, so we have a question on the way. Dale, are you able to see the chat?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
So Rasa's question is there a course schedule released for fall? So I don't know if you're referring to course schedule as in like the actual course schedule of, you know, what courses are happening every day. That's currently not available yet. You will get it through once you are accepted and registered, you will get it through the student portal once that schedule is ready. If you're just referring to which courses you need to take in the fall, our course matrix or course schedule is prearranged, so you don't need to select courses or anything. It's just a set number of courses, and that is on our webpage, if I'm not mistaken, under courses.
Okay, thank you, Dale. I think someone else is typing. We should have a question coming up here soon.
So Rasa was just saying, in reference to creating your own schedule, could you work 10-hour 4-day work weeks or work on weekends? Rasa, you could work on weekends, but our courses run Monday to Fridays, usually not starting at 8:30 or 9:30 and often going to 3:30 or 4:30. So I don't know if you definitely won't be able to do 10-hour 4-day work weeks. Probably maybe on the weekends, but you will need time to study. This isn't a part-time program. We are fairly content heavy, so you unfortunately will need to devote most of your effort here in order to do well. If you were trying to carry that like 40 hours a week and then school here, I don't think you will find it very successful. You won't find yourself very successful. Unfortunately, that's just too much for anyone. Yeah. Is there entrance? Rashid, if you don't meet is there any entrance course to meet the requirements? I'm not sure what you mean, any entrance course. It depends on what you're missing, Rashid. Rashid. So BCIT doesn't offer a lot of our prerequisites because BCIT isn't a university transfer school. We don't have a lot of those generic courses available. Most of our courses are tied to specific programs. There are plenty of courses available at most of the local colleges and universities that will transfer over, but it just depends on which admissions requirements you're missing. Mahin says, I have a master's of food science from my country and IELTS of 4, ESL in Canada, as a high school. Is that enough? Can I apply for this program? So Mahin, you will need to get your master's of food science assessed from ICES. Or equivalent, but the thing is, it's not just the generic overview that I know immigration requires. We require the in-depth course-by-course breakdown, which is a much more in-depth assessment. So because the reason I know is because this question's come up a few times for now already now. So we do require the much more in-depth version of that assessment, which does take time. So I just don't know what you have and how that assessment will go. That being said, chances are the main thing, let's just say the master's is fine. Chances are you will need a Canadian English course, so a Canadian post-secondary English course in order to be accepted. That's been sort of the common theme I've seen. A lot of the science courses will be recognized, but you will need a Canadian English course, university level English course as well. Harshal says, when we'll have to take the 2 elective course 6 credit during level 5 to 6? Harshal, the best time will be during the summer between your level 6 and level 7 if you don't have them already. Rasa says, I should have been working. I meant for after graduating, I've gotten a job. Is working weekends or having a 10-day, 4-week possible? Thanks about. Oh, okay. Rasa, I think it depends on where you work. Most health agencies don't work on the weekends usually. So I would say no. The weekends, no. Some places offer every other Friday is sort of the most common, I would say. I think Vancouver Coastal, for instance, does every other Friday. So the EHOs are doing, I think, 9.5 hour, maybe 9-hour days, and then they get a Friday off every other week. But I don't think anybody's doing 4 10-hour days though. I might be mistaken. I just don't know enough because those are all very regional questions. It depends on the employer. Mahin, unfortunately, I don't know what, when you say ESL classes in Canada, what those entail. If those cannot be used for first-year university level English, unfortunately, that's not sufficient. So I think it depends on which program you did and which courses you did. What we are looking for is an academic first-year level university course because we are a degree program. So you need those credits in order to be qualified to get a degree. D. Wu says, just when if all graduates can go to health authority for working. All graduates have a chance, I would say, especially if you are successful. I would say most graduates are successful in getting certified, and we do place all students at a health authority to get work experience. I can't say that all students will get a job at a health authority. That does depend on you. Right? It depends on the individual. It depends on how you do. When you're on practicum, it's a 3-month job interview, basically. So it depends on a variety of factors. Sometimes a little bit of luck. People are on leave. They need people to fill the jobs. So those are all factors. So I cannot say for sure you'll get a job. I think you'll have a fair chance. You will be given the opportunities, but it ultimately does depend on you. And then Harshal says, okay, so is also university from BCIT? Yes, we are a degree, right? We are fully a degree program. Yeah, absolutely. No, we are a university level degree. Yes, you require a degree to be certified. Actually, yeah. The part of the certification to be a public health inspector is a degree. Yeah. Rasa has, once there's more known about the burst review, where can we find more information about it? Unfortunately, I don't think the information is being sort of communicated other than through the program itself. It was done very informally last year. Honestly, I didn't even know the money was going out until students started telling me, hey, we got $2,000 in the mail. And I said, what, really? Already? All I heard was that might be coming out, but apparently they sent the checks out, which is like a pleasant surprise right around Christmas, but not necessarily the best organized. That being said, once I know more, I will let the students know. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be any public-facing information being provided at the moment. Mm-hmm.
That's great, Dale. Thank you. That is actually our time. If anyone has a last-minute question they want to get in there, that would be good. But otherwise, here are a couple of very important emails. If you have program-specific questions after today, you could always send Dale an email. And if it's more about prerequisites and where you can get upgrading and things like that, maybe program advising would be a better option. And I want to thank everyone for coming out, all your great questions, and being with us today. And I want to wish you all the best in your future with health sciences. And I want to let you know that a copy of the slide presentation and a link to the this info session video will be sent out to everybody next week, hopefully. And we hope to see you soon. Dale?
Well, thank you very much, everybody. If you do have any questions, feel free to email me directly. My email was just there, dale_chen@bcit.ca, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.